Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining in. This is Testers Quarter Community Abuja chapter, and this is one of our I call it webinar workshop that we do have, right? And today we are going to be talking about Git, GitHub, and CI/CD pipelines. Okay, so before we get started, you might be wondering what is Testers Quarter, what is it about? I'll just quickly give a quick walkthrough of what Testers Quarter is about, right? Um, Testers Quarter is a community, is a place where we thrive and grow. It's a quarter where testers thrive and grow. Now, this is not just for testers, right? It's for everyone and anyone that is interested in software development and its processes, that is interested in quality, the quality of a software application. Who are we? We are the most active software testing community in Africa, and we are focused on empowering, aspiring, and practicing product quality engineers with resources, support, mentorship that is required for them to succeed in their career. Yes, we are the largest. Go and find out anywhere. Testers Quarter is the largest community of testers in Africa, actually, right? Um, okay, yeah, this is our founder. We all know this person, so I'll not bother to say much about her. Sibironke Kinishi, the founder of Testers Quarter, right? And we have our communities around you. We have Testers Quarter Ethiopia, we have in Cameroon, we have in Kampala, Uganda, we have in Lagos. Yes, Lagos had a program, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? We have Testers Quarter in Ibadan, and we here we have Testers Quarter Abuja, right? We have in Ghana, yes, the, yeah, we have in Ghana. We have having MIT, that's Mothers in Tech. We have Testers Quarter in UK. We have an alumni network too for Testify alumni. And yes, this is like our reach. So anywhere you find yourself, anywhere you are had a moment, or you find yourself later in the future, be rest assured we have something for you. We have a community around you. So those of you that wants to japa, don't worry, we got you covered, right? Okay, so what's our mission? Yeah, Tesla's quota is to empower and elevate product quality engineers across Africa and globally, by providing education, mentorship, industry collaboration, and career opportunities in software quality engineering. We also aim to bridge the gap between testers and product excellence, positioning PQEs, that's product quality engineers, as strategic partners in the software development life cycle. And our vision is to be the number one hub for product quality engineers, in Africa, fostering a vibrant community where we learn, collaborate, drive software excellence while advancing the culture of quality assurance across the African tech ecosystem. Okay. So we have different objectives and goals, right? Like I've said earlier, around the local chapters we have, across Africa and beyond, continental summits and mentorship network, globally aligned training and certification. I think we did one last Saturday, and that's the Beyond Test Execution. It was a whole day, about 6 or 8 hours thereabouts, right? So these are some of our goals and objectives as a community, and we have job boards and freelance marketplace for everybody, and also university and bootcamp partnership. We partner with some institutions. Rebranding testers as strategic product quality engineers. So you must have been noticing me saying product quality engineer since. Yes, we are not just testing applications, we are ensuring quality across the application. Also, we do research, advocacy, and thought leadership. And we have digital tools like the PQE dashboard, the merch, and more. There's a lot to offer in this community, right? Okay, so we have our programs like the one we did this afternoon, TQ Office Hour. It's every Wednesday. I don't know if you guys join, but try to always join every Wednesday, 1 p.m. This is an avenue where you can have discussions with other testers around you, unfiltered discussions. Bring your challenges, ask open questions. This is like a place where you have the opportunity to like meet people you will not just meet on the regular, on a regular day. You meet them and you're able to ask them questions. And if you are even lucky, some can help you troubleshoot some of the issues you are having, at work. We have study body on Fridays, 8 p.m., but I think this is on pause at the moment. Also, we have our fireside chat on every first Saturday of the month, quarterly hangouts, mentorship, annual gathering conference, and we have programs that we do on our spaces on IG, on LinkedIn, on X. I think we did one on LinkedIn. I don't know, maybe last month where I was featured. Also, it's a fun community, right? It's a fun community. It's not just about working. We have testathon, and we have some test merchandise that we offer also. So yeah, these are our programs and our core engagements. Like I've read out in the program, it's just the same thing here. And you can follow us on our social media pages. We have an events page where you are updated on every event that we have. That's on Luma. If you follow this link /testers quarter, you will see every upcoming event that we have. Like the PTE we did last Saturday. There is another one coming up in Ghana by next month, and another one in Kenya by June. And there is a big program coming up, the Nigerian Software Testing Week. Yeah, it's going to be very, very massive. And let me just hint you, they are coming to Abuja. Yeah. They are coming to Abuja, and it's going to be a physical one. It's not a virtual one, it's a physical one. Okay, so these are our social media pages, YouTube, our website. You can always visit it, Instagram, Twitter, and the likes. All right. Yeah, and we also partner with these communities. Testers Quarter partners with Testify Academy, right? With Propel, with Ladder Tech, Black Skill, Testify Limited, Nexa Scale, ProDev, Ministry of Testing, Lagos, and Soft Tech Brew. Yeah. So these are our partners that we, that our community partners with. Yes, that's an overview of what we do at software at Testers Quarter generally now. Mind you, this is Testers Quarter Abuja, and once again, I want to say welcome to every one of us that has joined this call this evening. I know that we all have different things you might have been engaged with, but just for the sake of we acquiring knowledge, we have joined this, and I'm very, very, grateful and happy that you are here. So by this minute, I don't want us to waste much time today because the topic we are going to be talking about is kind of broad, right? It's not something that we can finish in one section actually. So, but then we want to make it as easy as possible for us so that we can follow through. these processes. I know that some of us here, maybe not everybody, but some of us here, we find it difficult when it comes to GitHub and CI/CDs. We just hear, oh, CI/CD, I'm setting up a CI/CD pipeline, my automation, this and this and that, but we don't really know how that works, how to go about it, how to set it up. And that's why we're having this workshop this evening. And yeah, today we are talking about GitHub, Git, GitHub, and CI/CDs. Git, GitHub, and CI/CDs. Those are the things that we are going to be talking about. And right about now, I'll be bringing up our amiable facilitator. Is here already. He's been waiting for us. A solid guy. Yeah. So our facilitator is Babatunde Olushola. So let me just tell you a brief about this amazing speaker, right? Babatunde is a product quality engineer that is focused on building reliable, high impact digital products. He combines manual and automated testing across web and mobile platforms to ensure quality is built into every stage of development. Beyond testing, he partners with teams to improve release confidence, reduce risk, and align product decisions with real users and business outcomes. He's passionate about quality engineering, CI/CD practices, and creating systems that scale with speed and stability. Right about now, with a clapping ovation, I would want us to welcome Babatunde. Let us welcome him. Babatunde, hi. Yeah.
I am ready.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think you can have the floor now. Let me stop sharing my screen as we move on. Thank you.
All right. Thanks everyone, and thanks for being here. It's nice to have you all in here. Thank you. Can you guys confirm you can hear me very well, please? Okay, that's fine. Thank you. So basically, I don't want to take much of our time. So this session is going to be in this topic basically is going to be in two sessions. The first, we'll be covering the basics of Git, GitHub, and then the second session is where we will talk about basic CI/CD itself. I would like to know. Uh, I know I have Sadiq here, I have Below, I have Sami. Are any of you familiar with GitHub, Git, CI/CDs? You can just thumbs up if you're familiar with the terms, or have you used them in projects before? Interesting. Okay, okay, that's fine. So I guess we have some people that are already familiar with the topic, but just because of those that are not familiar with it, so I'll be taking it from scratch and explaining what GitHub is and version control basically. Okay, just give me a few minutes. Let me share my screen. Shared. Please confirm you can see my screen.
Yeah, very visible.
All right, thanks. So basically, today we'll be looking at Git fundamentals. We'll be looking at what version control is, what Git is, and the difference between Git and GitHub. Because I know most of you think Git is GitHub. They are basically not the same. And we'll be looking at the differences, why Git is not GitHub, and what version control is itself. So I'm going to move very fast, and if you are unclear about anything I'm saying or any topic I touch, you can just thumbs up or raise your hand, and I'll give you the floor to ask your questions. So first of all, let's look at what our learning objectives. So today we'll be learning, we'll be trying to understand what version control is. We'll be learning the Git fundamentals. We'll be learning how to use essential Git command or basic Git commands. And we'll be learning how to work with GitHub, basic collaboration and team collaboration basically on GitHub and Git. Now, what is version control? Version control is basically a system that tracks changes made on files, on project files over time. It allows multiple people to or it allows multiple people to collaborate on a particular project that they are all working on. So it tracks basically changes in files and folders that are related to that particular project itself. Version control does three main things. It tracks changes in code. It enables collaboration, that is allowing multiple people to work on the same project at a time, and it also allows for rollback. This is one of the most important functionality of version controlling. So version control gives room for undoing whatever mistake you must have made while pushing or rolling out your application to production. So if you are rolling out a new version and there are mistakes, in version control allows you to be able to roll back to the previous stable version and still maintain that version while you fix the issues that are wrong with the current version you are trying to push to production. So this makes your system 24/7 available, and it basically makes it available 24/7. I'll just leave it at that. What are the types of version control we have? We have three main types of version control. We have the local version control. That is the kind of version control you have on your local machine. It's not connected to cloud. So the version you have on your PC basically is what we refer to as the local version control. Then we have the centralized version control. So the way this centralized version control works is that um, everyone working on that project are working on it at the same time, at a particular time. So you are making your changes, someone else is making his changes, and you guys are working in that environment at that particular time. That's how centralized version control works. And distributed version control, basically the way this works is that different people can work on different features or different parts of the application at different times, and then they can now merge all of this together into one basic project or one bundle, like I like to call it, like one bundle. What is local system? Local version control is where changes in files are tracked on a single computer, just one single computer locally. All versions are stored locally on your machine. with no built-in collaboration or features. It is simple to use but risky because data can be lost, yes. So when suddenly maybe something happens to that particular machine you are using for that version control, all data regarding that project is lost because you don't have it backed up anywhere. They are all just available on that single machine. So whatever happens to that machine, every data related to that project is lost. That is how the local version control works. The centralized version control is a system where all project files are stored in a central server. Users connect to this server to access, update, and manage files, enabling team collaboration. However, it relies heavily on the server, and the work may stop if the server is unavailable. So like I said, for decentralized version control system, you have just one single server that everyone is using at a particular time. You make your changes on this server. It's more or less like I give you um, a a Google Sheet. I share a Google Sheet link with everyone, and everyone connects to that particular Google Sheet, and everyone is making changes on that particular Google Sheet. If anything happens to that Google Sheet, every data is lost. So that is how centralized control system work. While distributed control system is more or less like um, me giving you a folder while everyone creates their own separate sheet inside that folder. It is still one project, but you have your own sheet you are currently working on. You have your own sheet you are currently working on. And when you guys are done, we all can sit down and then merge all of these sheets into just one single sheet. That is how the distributed control system work, where every user have a copy of the repository, basically the project repository, and including its full history. It allows different developers to work offline, and when they come online, they can push whatever they have worked on from this. So the best version control system that people use is basically the distributed version control system, and it is the best so far because you are not tied to just one server, and people can work on different servers and work on different aspects of the application and just bring it together and publish at a time. Yeah, basically that. So here we'll be looking at the difference between GitHub, and Git repositories. So so give me a few seconds. Please. Sorry for that. Okay, so I'll continue. What is Git? Git is basically a distributed version control system used to track changes in files and manage code. It is used to track whatever changes you are making on your files, and it is used to manage code history. The beauty about Git is for every change you commit, there is an history. It's more or less like Whenever you make a change and you commit that change, a version of that change is saved with that commit message or with that commit history you are basically using. So when you make any changes, even if it's just one line of code, the moment you stage that change and you commit it, a version of that repo is more or less like taking a screenshot of the project at that particular time and saving it somewhere. And you can always go back to that particular version. That's what we call commit history. So you can always go back to that particular version and restore that version. I don't know if you guys use Google Sheets or Google Docs a lot, but if you check Google Docs, you will know that Google Docs also have version history, where you can always go back to a previous version of the sheet or of the doc at a particular time. Let's assume I'm working on a sheet today, I make changes and I save the changes. That particular change I saved at that particular time is saved. And tomorrow, if I make changes, I can always go back to the previous day and check what are the changes I made at this particular date and roll back to that particular change. Whatever change I've made after after then will be deleted and that particular version will be restored. This is the same thing that we do on that we can do with Git. Git allows us to be able to roll back and restore a particular version of the application at a particular time that we have saved. So I'll continue. It allows developers to work independently. You can create branches, merge changes efficiently, and also work locally on your computer. It enables collaboration when connected to remote repositories, basically. Now, what is the difference between Git and GitHub? I know most of you are not familiar with the differences. Git is what we call is what we call basically a version control system. While GitHub is more or less like an host for repositories. How do I say it? Okay, let me explain it like this. Your project, your project is more or less like a repository. A repository is like a container you use to save your project on the cloud. That's on GitHub Cloud. GitHub Cloud is the repository. It's more or less like building a room in the cloud where you can save files and save projects. That is what GitHub does. GitHub is more or less like the house for repositories and version control systems. Now, how is GitHub different from Git? Git allows you to manage files, make changes to files, collaborate, and do all those things. That is what Git does. While GitHub is more or less like a cloud platform that saves Git repositories. You can create Git repositories using GitHub. GitHub is more or less like something that just help you to use Git, and it stores your files it stores your Git files in the cloud. That's what GitHub does. Now, what are repositories? Repositories are just project files, code, version history. It's more or less like a storage location where all of these things are kept. I don't know if you guys understand the difference between GitHub and repositories. Git is a version control system. GitHub is the house for version controls or for files, while repositories are the folders where you store all of your files in. So a repo is more or less like you are creating a new folder on your desktop. You have a couple of pictures you want to save, and you don't want them scattered on your desktop. What do? You create a repository that you can save those particular pictures. So you create a folder on your desktop and you move all of those files into that folder. That is what we call a repository. Now, GitHub is now more or less like your PC itself on the cloud, where you can have different folders. You can create separate folders that houses different things. Like you can create a folder for pictures, you can create a folder for maybe Excel files, you can create a folder for Word documents, you can create a folder for PDFs. So these are different folders, but they are all still on your PC. So that is what GitHub does. GitHub houses all your repositories, while Git is the version control system itself. It's more or less that the files themselves, that is Git. I don't know, does that explain the differences for you? You guys can thumbs up if you are getting me. Thank you for that. Okay, I'm just going to continue now. How do we create a repository? I'm still going to walk you through like practical steps of creating a repository. I know some of you have done it before, but just because just for the sake of those that have not done it before, I'm going to be walking you through creating a Git repository. Can you all confirm that you all have GitHub accounts? Is there anyone here that does not have a GitHub account? Okay, so I'm going to assume all of us already have GitHub accounts. So I'm going to be walking you through signing up and logging in on GitHub. I'm going to be walking you through creating a new repository. I'm going to be walking you through naming your repository and the differences between public and private visibility for your repository. So we are going to be walking you through that today. Yeah, I think we should move to the practical sessions before we move to all of this. So okay, I'm going to be resharing my screen. Sorry, I'm just sharing. Oh, wait, no need. You can just move this here. Okay, so sorry, let me sign out. So the first thing we are going to do is creating a GitHub account. So basically, to create a GitHub account, you come to GitHub, github.com. Just to mention, there are different repository management applications that you can use. We have GitHub, we have GitLab, we have Bitbucket, and others like that also. But the one will be focusing on is GitHub, basically. So that's what I'll be walking you through. But basically, the steps are not different. If you can use one, you'll be able to use others. But GitHub is the most widely used version control system, repository management system that everyone uses. You hardly see a company or a firm that uses other version controls, other repository management systems. Most of them use GitHub, and even when they are using those other ones, they still use it alongside GitHub. So GitHub is the most widely used um, repository management system that people use. So that's why we are using GitHub. And to sign up, we just click on this sign up button. And for GitHub, you can sign up using your Google account. You can sign up with your Apple ID, and you can also sign up with your email and password. After you are when you are signing up, you have to choose a username for your account, for your GitHub account. So I already have a GitHub account, so I can't basically sign up again, but I'll just be logging in. To log in, depending on how your login is being set, for me, I have two-factor authentication enabled. So I'm just going to be logging in. You log in with basically the username and password that you created for your account. And then if you have two-factor authentication enabled, you have to input that too. So I'm just going to input mine very quickly. Uh, okay, found it. What is 3, 7, 7. Okay. So you can also add a pass key if you want. I don't need that for now, and that is why I'm skipping that particular step. And when you log into your dashboard, this is the first thing you see. You see this. This is how your dashboard looks like. You can come here. When you click on dashboard, this is how your dashboard basically looks like. And how do you create a new repository? You just click on this new button here. So when you click on this new button, it brings up this dialog box for you, or this form for you, where you can fill. First thing is you name your repository. It's just like naming a folder. And one thing you need to notice that you can't have two repositories with the same name at a time on your GitHub repository, or basically any repository at all. So if I have, let's assume, I think I have this. Okay, so you see that if you have a repository that is already existing on this on your account, it's going to give you this flag, this error code, telling you that you cannot have the same repository, two repository with the same name at a time on your GitHub account. It's just like trying to create the same folder twice on a particular location on your system. Is definitely going to flag it. The same way you can have two files with the same name at a time in a particular location on your PC. So that's the same way you can have two repositories with the same name on your repository. So you have to give it a new name every time. And the best thing is to give it a name regarding your project. If you are, it's basically the project name. That is what you want to name your repository. So if I'm working on maybe an health application called um let's assume maybe get well soon. What I just need to do is put get well soon as the name of the repository. Is going to tell you if it's available, and if it is, you add a description. This is basically not important, but it's always good to add a description to your repository so that people will know what the repository is actually meant for. So I'm just going to say health application. Then you choose the visibility. Now, what's the difference? You can choose two types of visibility for your project. You can choose the public visibility and the private visibility. What is the difference between these two? Now, for every public repository you have, whoever visits your profile, your GitHub profile, this is one of the repositories they are going to see on your profile. But if it is private, for private, whoever visits uh, your GitHub profile will not see your private repositories. They will only see your public repositories. For private repositories, another person will only see it when you invite them to that repository. So if you don't invite them, they will never see that repository. It is only you that can see that repository on your profile. Someone else visiting your profile cannot see that repository. That's the difference. For public, everyone who visits your profile is going to see it, but for private, only you and those you invite to the project will be able to see your private repository. You can choose who is going to see these repositories. Yes. And this is a README file. A README file is more or less like a file containing information about your project. So in your README file, this is how you add steps on how to set up your project. If someone else is basically cloning that project, how do they set it up on their local? How do they manage files? What kind of framework are you using for your project? um how is your project being structured? All this information are going to be contained in your readme file. Whoever pulls, or if you are sharing your readme file, your project with someone. Now, okay, let's assume I have a project I'm working on and I want to collaborate with someone and I want them to clone that project. As an experience there, the first thing they will look at after cloning your project is to go to your readme file, because they believe your readme file is supposed to house how they are going to set up that project on their local. You should have detailed that steps in your readme file. So that's what readme files are basically used for. Then we have the git ignore. So you can choose to add your git ignore or to not add your git ignore. And what does git ignore do? So we have some files and folders you don't want to push to your repository. For example, one of the most important file is what if a library will call node modules. So there are some heavy files that you don't want to be available on your repository, or basically, not even if they are not heavy, maybe you have some secret things on your project that you don't want to push to your repository because it's a public repo. These are things you will add to your git ignore. I'm still going to walk you through how to use your git ignore properly, basically, but this is it. And then you can choose to add license or not. So if you have a GitHub license, you can choose to add it to your project. If not, you can just leave it blank. So yeah, and any of these things too, it does not matter. Even after creating your project, you can always add a readme file. even if you didn't add it while creating the repository itself, you can always change the view from public to private even after creating it. You can always add a git ignore file, and you can always add the license even after creating the repository. So I'm going to just add the readme, or basically I'm not going to add it. I'm just going to show you how to add these things when on your local. So I'm just going to click on create repository, and it's going to create the repository for you. So if you create a repository without a readme file or any file at all, this is how it's going to show for you. And then you have two ways. There are two ways you can bring this repository to your local. You can either use the HTTP method or you use the SSH method. The SSH method is how most people clone their projects. Only a few people use the HTTPS method. It's not really too different, but most people are used to the SSH method. So that is what most people use. And but me, I'm going to be using the HTTP method, and I'm going to also show you how you can clone this project to your local, how you can add files, how you can create branches, and how you can push your project basically. Okay, this is how we are going to do this, because I'm planning on us working on a few, or basically one project together. So okay, so okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to share this on this call so that we all can be involved. This is an empty repository, and it's a public repo, so it's open to everyone, and you guys should be able to clone this. So I've just shared the project URL on this call. You guys can copy it, and while I'm cloning, I'm doing all these things, you guys can go along with me on these things also. Okay, so I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do basically. Um, so how do you clone your project? Yes, I've created my project on the GitHub server. I've created my project. Now I want to bring it to my local machine. I want to bring that particular repository to my local machine so that I can make changes on that particular folder and then push my changes to this particular repo. Now, how do I do that? We have some basic Git commands that everyone is used to. Not everyone, basically, but we call them Git commands. It's more or less like a way to talk to Git. They are called Git syntaxes, and is a way to call Git commands. Yeah, basically a way to call Git commands. There are different commands you can use in Git, and we are going to be using a few of them um, while doing this. So basically, I want to so you can do this on different terminals. I don't know if you know what terminals are, but terminals are basically ways, they are like, these are where you type your commands. Basically, they are how you talk to your system. You talk to your system using terminals. They are um, basically intermediaries between your system and you. So you talk to your system using your terminals. You give it commands using your terminals. If you want your system to do something using a particular command, you type that command on your terminal and your system is going to execute that command. Now we have different kinds of terminals. We have the basic PowerShell for Windows. We have the command prompt, we have Git Bash and other terminals like that. We have PowerShell, command prompt. Okay, I mentioned that, and Git Bash and a few other ones like that. Me, I like to use Git Bash because I'm used to Git commands a lot. But you can also use these commands on your command prompts. I know most of you are used to command prompts. We call it CMD on Windows. Or basically, I'll just use command prompts so everyone, so people are not confused. We can basically use the same commands on both Git Bash and command prompts, just a few differences. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be changing my directory. Currently now, when you open your command prompt, it is always directed to your root folder. Now, if you have a specific location where you want to clone your project into, then you change the file path or the directory path on your terminal to face or to face that particular location or to change to that particular location. Currently, my terminal is on my root folder, and for me to change to, I like to my projects to be on my desktop. So what do? I change my directory. I change my directory with the command cd. Cd means change directory. It's a git command also. Sorry, it's a yeah, it's a git command. Basically, it's a way for git bash. If you are using Mac, okay, yeah, you can use terminal on Mac. Yeah, and you can basically use, you can download git bash on Mac also. You can download the git bash to use git bash on Mac. So I'm going to change my directory to desktop. That is my desktop. So I've changed my directory to desktop, and everything I do here is going to be directed at my desktop. That is, I know you guys know what desktop is, right? So the desktop is this interface, this particular interface that we use. This is what we refer to as your desktop. So I'm just going to continue. Yep. So I'm currently there now. And the command to clone my project into my local. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so the command to clone my project is what we call the git clone. This is the one of the basic git command that you use. It's git clone, and then you insert the URL I shared with you. So the command we are going to be using to clone is called git clone, and then we insert the URL of the project we are trying to clone. Now, if you have a product, a GitHub key, like I do, you insert it at this point. Um, what's that? Okay, it's muted. So if you have a GitHub key, like I do, I like to clone my projects using my GitHub key. So if you have your GitHub key, you should insert your GitHub key at this point. Yeah, so your GitHub key is more or less like an authentication system. It's more or less like an automatic authentication system for you, where um, whenever you are pushing, it's more or less like you're authenticated, automatically authenticated, and whatever push you do goes directly. If not, every time you have to push, you are inside, you have to input your username and your password to be able to push successfully. But once you insert your GitHub key, you don't need to do that every time you are pushing. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to look for my, sorry, for my GitHub key and use that to clone. PHP.
Yeah. So
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to, I just saw a question on how to create a GitHub key. And I'm going to be walking you through that right now. Okay, let's do that first before cloning. Okay. Oh, sorry. It's my GitHub. Yep. So to create a GitHub key, what you just need to do is on this, when you go to your dashboard, this is my dashboard, and I click on this place, this my avatar. I come to settings. I come to settings and I click on settings. And then if you look at this place, you are going to see different menus for you, and you are just going to look for SSH and GB, GB, sorry, GPG keys. And then you can create a new SSH key or a new GPG key from here. You can also create a GitHub key.
yeah. Sorry. There's this menu that is showing on your screen. I don't know if I'm the only one seeing it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when you right click, yeah.
So, yep, it's gone.
Yeah,
Uh,
thank
Sorry for that. This is us. Okay. So, sorry. This is account. Let's see. Mm, Okay, yeah. So this is it. I'm just going to walk us through back. So we have the SSH keys, we have the GPG key, and then we also have the GitHub key itself. This is how you create your GitHub key. So when you come to settings, you come to developer settings, you click on developer settings, and under personal access tokens, you have the tokens. So we have the fine grained tokens and we have the classic tokens. So this is the one I use. So when you are creating this, you can only see your token once. So it is best that you copy it immediately you create the token, because you can only see this once. The moment you leave this page and come back, you will not be able to see that particular key again. I don't know if you get me. So that is how you create a GitHub key. So mostly what you are going to be using is this personal access token. This is what you mostly use. This is what I use. I don't use SSH keys and GPG keys. So I use this personal access tokens. That is what I've flown with. So has anyone been able to create a GitHub key for their profile? Anyone? Okay. So you can just let me know if you're having any issues creating the GitHub keys. But I'm going to continue with mine and clone with my GitHub key, basically. This is at github.com. So I'm going to be cloning this into my desktop. Yep, I know that. Okay, so it's done. I've cloned the project and it should now be available on my desktop. Yep, this is it. This is what I just cloned. And now I'm going to open it in VS Code. So after cloning your project, depending on the kind of project you are running, if it's a Java project, you might want to use other tools like maybe IntelliJ or Eclipse. If it's a JavaScript project, you mostly use Git VS Code. That's Visual Studio Code. If it's like a C# project, you mostly use Visual Studio itself. And then we have other IDEs. We call them IDEs. So we have other IDEs you can use. We have Anaconda, we have PyCharm for Python, and other ones like that too. But because what I was working on, I have like a mini project I wanted us to work on, and that project is a React project. That's JavaScript. So that's why I'm using VS Code. And has anyone been able to clone this project? Okay, that's beautiful. Did you clone with a GitHub key? Okay, that's perfect then. Thank you. So what I'm going to be doing is so I want you to guys to open the project on your on your VS Code, and then you create a new terminal. I'm going to be using Git bash. So if you're having any problem, you let me know. Okay. So if you see this, this is the project folder, and you see that this is the main branch. This is the main branch that I'm working from. Now, when you clone a new project like this way, you are basically cloning from the last public or general branch that they are using. So what is a branch? Basically, a branch is just an aspect of the repository that contains a particular set of files or changes that you don't want in the main repository itself. For every repository, there's always a main branch or a master branch. So the default branch is always the main or the master. Now, the main branch is what people usually see first when they visit your repository. That is the branch that contains all the files that people will first of all see when they visit your profile. Now, you can have other branches, but the main branch is what people use for what they want to actually go to the public, right? And now the advice is that when you clone a new project, what do? You branch out from that particular branch that you cloned from. Like for example, if you clone this project, you are cloning from main. Main is the project the branch you are cloning from, and then you want to branch out from this, from main, so that you can make your own changes and push them. Now, how do we branch out? You just git checkout. So this is the git command to branch out, or to branch out from a particular branch, to go away from a particular branch. Is called checkout. Now, we have just one branch at the moment. So how do we branch out? We have to create a new branch. Sorry, this guy is giving me kind of issue. So if I want to see the list of branches I have on my local, the command I use is git branch. So what git branch does is that it lists out all the branches we have on your local. It's not listing anything out now because I don't have any other branch apart from main. Now, this is what I'm going to do. I want to branch out. I don't have any other branch, so I need to create a new branch and move to that. Are we checking any of the boxes? Any turn? Are you trying to create a repo? Okay, that's fine then. Thanks. So how do I branch out? I'm creating a new branch and moving to that branch. And what is the git command for that? Git checkout -b, and I name my branch. Let's assume Babatunde branch. So you see, it has switched to a new branch called Babatunde branch. And if you guys notice, you notice on this page, on this place too, it has switched from main to what? Babatunde branch. That means every changes I'm making now is just on this branch and is not going to affect the main branch itself. Now, if I do git branch, okay, I'm not sure why this is not returning. Okay, let's move ahead. So currently now I'm in Babatunde branch. That is where I want to make all my changes, and I'm going to push it later. Now I have a mini file that I was previously working on. So I'm just going to move all the files here. I think this should be it. Yep. So I'm just going to copy this and I'm going to paste it inside this folder. Yep. And now what am I going to do? I'm going to git status. Now, what does git status do? So I'm already giving you some of the basic git commands that we use when you are working with git. So the git status is meant to show you the changes, the files you have made changes on that you have not pushed yet. Now, if you see this now, it's telling me that I have made changes to these 4 files, and folders that are not being pushed yet. So they are called untracked files. That means these files are not on GitHub yet. They are just still on my local. And if you check this, you will see that it's labeled as U, meaning untracked files. So what am I going to do? I'm going to add them. So how do I add them? I do git add dot. So this git add dot means git add all. Now keep in mind that when you use git add dot, it adds all the files you have made changes to. It adds them to your commit history. If I don't want to add everything, maybe I just want to add these 2 files, what do? I do git add and I add the file names. Instead of using git add dot, I add the files names. And I press enter. Can you see it has added just these 2 files and it has ignored these 2 folders. Now, if I do git status again, you will see that now it's telling me that these 2 files have been added, but these ones are still not tracked. So if I want to push everything, I just do git add dot. This is going to add all of the other folders, and when I now do git status, it's going to show me that I've added all of these files now. So all of these are now being tracked. So and you can see that that U has now changed to A, meaning these files have been added but not committed yet. Now, what does adding means? It means we are staging. We are preparing the files for commit. So to commit a file, you first need to stage it for commit. It's more or less like preparing that file to be committed. I want to move this file from my local to the cloud, which is GitHub. I want to move this file. I have this file on my system. I want to move it from my local to the GitHub cloud. First of all, I need to stage them first. That means adding them, right? So I want to move, I have 10 files. I want to move file 5 and ignore 5. I add those 5 to part of the files I want to push. That is what we have just done. So we have added all of the files to the file we want to push to GitHub cloud. It's called staging. So we have staged these files for commits. Now, after adding these files, the next thing you want to do is you want to commit them. And when you are committing with a message. Now, let me explain it like this. Let's assume you have 15 packages you want to send out, right? You have 15 packages. You are an entrepreneur. You have a service you are rendering to people online, and you have 15 orders. Now you have prepared these 15 orders. You are done with them, and you want to send them out. First of all, what do? You add all of those 15 packages to the ones you want to send out. That is what we first of all did. We added them. I'm an entrepreneur. I don't just have 15 packages, but these 15 packages are the ones I want to send out. So I add them to part of the packages that will be sent out. That is what we call staging in Git. It's called staging. So we stage those files. Now, I've added them. I want to send them out. And I want to put a description for those sending, for what I'm sending. Now, that is what we call commits. If I just add them and leave them, they are not going to live where they are, right? So what am I doing? I'm adding a description for whoever wants to go and deliver these packages that, okay, oh, what kind of packages are these? So the command we use to commit is called git commit -m, and then you add a commit message. So I can say my commit message is initial push or initial commit, basically. So this is the description of these files I'm sending. I've added these files that I want to send them. Now I'm adding a description for sending, or a delivery note basically. That is what the commit message is for. It's more or less like a delivery note. And then after I've added my commit message, I press enter, and then you will see that that particular A has gone, because what? These packages have now been committed, or these files have now been committed. And now when I now want to send them, the command to send is git push. Yes. So I'm going to explain this error for you. So this error is telling me that um this particular branch is available on my local, but if I go to GitHub, that's the repository itself. Is it this one? No, nope, nope. Yep. If I go to the repository itself, sorry. This is the repository we are using. You will see that okay, there are no branches here yet, so we can't. There are no files here. We can't see branches at the moment. So should we be able to? Okay, no, we can't see branches at the moment.
Which branch are you looking for? The one
No,
you
no,
are,
no. So I just want to show them that that particular branch on my local is not available.
you can see branch from code. Okay, there's nothing inside
Yes,
this.
there's nothing inside, so we can't see the branches yet. So, but basically, if there was something here, you would see that this particular branch is not available on GitHub yet, and that is what this error is telling me. It's telling me that this guy has gone into my GitHub, and it has looked into my GitHub, and it has found out that this branch is not available. Do I want it to create that branch on GitHub? So that is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to copy this command and paste it here. Now, what this command is going to do is I'm still pushing, but I'm now creating this branch that I have on my local. I'm now creating it in GitHub also, that my GitHub repository. I'm pushing these files into that particular branch. I'm going to show you what that does now. Now I'm going to just copy this command and press enter. So it has pushed the changes to GitHub. And now when I come to GitHub and I refresh, bam, you see all those files that I have on my local are now on my GitHub. And now you can see that this branch is what houses this particular those files. If I switch branches now, let me go back to your branches. There's no main branch. Okay, there's no main available here yet. Yeah, basically because I didn't create the GitHub with a branch. So let me do this. I'm going to git checkout main. Okay, git checkout must be okay. Now I've created a new branch main, and now I want to show you how branches work. This is what I'm just going to do. I'm going to delete these two folders. Delete. Yep. So it's oh no. Let me just delete only the readme file. And now I'm going to do git status. I'm going to do git add. Oh, it's not going to add anything. Basically, git commit -m deleted readme file. Okay. Now git push. Now -set origin main. Now I want to show you how branches work. So on each branch, I'm going to refresh this again. Can you see this? So it's telling me that I have a new branch, and this branch has some changes that this particular one does not have. Now, if you see, if I switch to this branch, you see that this particular branch has a readme file. Now, if I switch to another branch, which is the main branch, you will see that the readme file is gone. So this is how different developers work. So when you have a particular feature or a particular module you are working on, what they do is they create a branch for that module, and they work on that particular branch, and they push to that branch. And now you can now create a pull request. If you have changes that you now want to merge, you can now create a pull request to merge changes from one branch to another. Now I'm going to show you how pull requests are being created. Now this is what I'm going to do. Compare and pull requests. And how is this going to work? So the base is Babatunde compare with me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create main, and the base is going to be Babatunde. Okay. Babatunde main. Okay. Bam. So this is how you create a pull request. Basically, what you are doing is you are creating a request that your particular branch should be merged to the main branch that everyone is using, basically, or that houses your entire project. So for merge request, you add a title, something like removed readme file, and then you add a description. The description is basically not important. You can leave it blank, or you can add a description too. Remove readme file, and then you create your PL. What is a pull request, basically, or a PR? A PR is a request to merge a particular branch to another branch. That is just what a PR is. I have two branches, and I want to merge what I have here into what is here. So I create a request, which is a pull request to merge what is here to here. That is what a pull request is used for. Now, Depending on how your repository is being set up, it might be that after you create your PR, another person will be the one to merge. But because right now I'm the only person on this repository, so I'm the alpha and the omega of my repository, and I'm the one doing both the PR and the merging myself. So I'm just going to merge this, confirm merge, and then if I go back to my code, you will see that both branches now have the same set of things. The readme file is now gone on both of those branches. So this is how branching actually works. Now, if you guys can now, okay, first of all, let me add the readme file back. Can you guys do, if you have cloned this repo, you should be able to pull now. You should be able to pull the latest changes. So to pull the latest changes, what you just need to do is, I'm going to type in the command here for you. You do git pull origin main or whatever branch you are pulling from. But since we are pulling from main, you use this command. I'm also going to do that on my end, because whatever I have on GitHub is not um, updated here. If I switch to another branch, git checkout Babatunde branch. Yep. Okay, switch to branch Babatunde. You will see that in this particular branch, I still have the readme, even on my local. So to pull the latest changes, what do? I just do git pull origin main. Now, there are two ways I can pull. If I'm pulling from this particular branch, I don't need to add origin. I can just do git pull and press enter. It's going to pull the latest changes from this guy on the GitHub repo into my local. But if I want to pull from a particular different branch entirely, that is not the current branch I'm in, I now have to add origin and that particular branch, which is main in our case. And when I press enter, it's going to pull the latest changes. And can you see that our readme file is also gone? So if you guys can do git pull, have you guys been able to open this in your VS Code? Anyone at all? Okay. So if you have been able to open this in your VS Code, can you do a git pull from main and tell me if your files were updated? So is anyone trying? If you're having problems, let me know, please. I can resolve them together. Or does someone want to share their screen? Okay, I just want to be sure you guys are following. Okay, I'll just continue. So that is basically it. That is how you work with branching and pull requests and other things like that. So I think we are going to stop here for now. Um, yeah, so we are going to stop here for now. We have used just basic commands like we use git clone, git push, git branch, and some mini commands like that. So in on our next class, we'll be moving to much more Git commands, much more collaboration, and hopefully we'll be able to do CI/CD also. But if possible, you guys can walk through this project and just be able to set it up. Then we'll continue from there. You guys can just play around with the project. You can make changes and push. And if you do that, you can just message me on Slack. I'll check your requests and I'll mark them if I can. And if there are changes, I will also drop comments on them. All right, thanks, guys.
Amazing, amazing, guys. You're not clapping. I don't understand. Is your head hot already? This is looking like magic, Abby. To some of us. Wow. Well done, Babatunde. Thank you very much. Um, I've learned a lot here, actually. I've learned a lot. Starting from um the GitHub key thing. I learned that on this call. Normally before I'll just close my repository, and when I want to push, I would have to like enter my username and password. But I can see this is more it's more easier to use. Thank you for that. And I was also following through. I was able to pull this into my own local machine here, and I have all these folders, this public SRC and the package.json folder on my end. Um, this is fantastic. Um, Even though I know some of these things before, but I'm getting to learn them in a new light, which is the essence of attending sections like this. Never can tell what new thing you are going to learn. So let's appreciate our facilitator once again. Let's say thank you, Babatunde. We really, 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 really appreciate you, and I would encourage us to go back and play around this repository, like he has said, make some changes, push them to GitHub, have a feel of how this thing works. Yes, we'll share the recording with you. We'll share the recording once it's ready. It will be shared so that you can watch it. Trust me, this is just the beginning. There's a lot to do on GitHub, a lot to learn about GitHub commands, Git commands, and integrating, our work. We'll still do something around workflows too, right? So this class is not ending yet. We'll still have another leg to this. I think we can just have it next week so that we are done with this once and for all. And but I'll communicate that if we are going to have it next week. But most likely, we should have the second one next week, where we now talk about how to automate these workflows. This PR that was created this the way we push, and all of those, you will now see how you can, automate them, how your tests can run, and you can set up your CI/CD, and your test picks up and they run and all. We are going to be having that. But I want to know, I even want to know, have we gotten value from um from this section tonight? I want to know, have we gotten value? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Rufus. Thank you, Sadiq. Thank you, Happiness. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Okay, that's fine. We need to know actually if you have gotten value or not, so that we don't waste our time, coming back again next week. But then, um, trust me, the more you do these things, the more you play around it, the better you get at it, right? Do we have anyone that has any question at all? Maybe there's anything that you don't really understand about everything that happened here. You can ask here, or you can also ask in our community on our WhatsApp platform. You can also ask if you have any question at all. Or you can also ask our facilitator too. He's on Slack. I want to believe everybody is on Testa's Quarter Slack. Yeah, I want to believe we are all on Testa's Quarter Slack. If you check him, I think his name is Shola or Olua Shola. Anyone, you will see him on Slack, and you can always reach out to him. Once again, I'll say thank you to every one of us. And on this note, we'll be putting an end to today's section. Till we meet again next week, hopefully. Bye, guys. Bye. Bye. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Bye. I think we can end the recording now.